Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality, and today I wanted to show you a couple different techniques that you could use with your distress inks. I am fairly new to distress inks, so I wanted to start experimenting and doing some things that I've seen on Pinterest. I will put the links of where I found these down below to give credit. So I love the distress inks, and today we're going to be using them to decorate some tags. Here is one that I made, and I used 2 or 3 different colors here. I used some ink and some acrylic stamps. I used some tacky glue to get like the little streaks in the background, and then some crinkly ribbon that I had here. So that's one thing we're going to do. And then here I used several different colors in the background on this tag, and then I used some transparent texture paste and gold embossing powder in one of my stencils to come up with this one. And so I thought they were really pretty and wanted to show them with you, and you can come craft with me. So the things that you will need for this project: of course, you will need some plain tags or some paper. Cardstock would be great for this because it will get soggy with the distress ink and using the water and everything to blend. So then you will need some texture paste. This is transparent gloss, and I found this at Michael's. I will put a link for it down below on Amazon if you do not have a Michael's near you, and you want to check that out as well. So this is transparent gloss. There also are several YouTube videos on how to make your own texture paste. That would work as well, I believe. And you need some sort of blending tool. You need some ribbon. I had this in my stash. It was actually ribbon that I had gotten on a Christmas present, but it's already nice and crinkly. I just cut strips of it and used my distress ink and inked it up. So I just thought that worked great. So I'm going to use that, or you can use seam binding or like Sari silk ribbon. You'll need some distress inks. I have these colors here, and some embossing powder. I have some gold, and this is Recollections. I have some Memento ink, just a spray bottle with water, some scissors, a little spackling tool. This is an Artist Loft from Michael's. And then I have some tacky glue. I have some acrylic stamps. These are my flowers. I have no idea where I picked these up from. I just sort my acrylic stamps on these sheets in little binders, and I sort them out by whatever they are. So these are all my floral ones. I have a block here. I'm going to be using a sheet protector, or if you have a piece of acetate. And then the last thing is a stencil. This stencil I picked up at Michael's. It's a folk art, and it's just a really pretty floral. So those are the things you need. Let's get this stuff cleared off and we'll get started. Alright, so for my first tag, I wanted to use the smooshing technique with a piece of acetate, or in my case I'm using a book page cover. So I'm going to take my spiced marmalade and my mustard seed and just dab some ink onto the book page protector. I'll start with the spiced marmalade, and then take the water and just spray a few spritzes on here like that, and that kind of activates the ink. And then what you can do now is take your tag and just lay it right down on top of that ink, and it just creates a really beautiful color onto your tag, and I'm going to go ahead and do both sides of my tag. I'm going to put a little bit more down to get a little bit more color there. And you can squish it around too if you want to move the color around on the acetate. I just love the way that it's just random color on the tag. I'll pick up all the color there. And I'm going to go grab my hair dryer and dry this. Now I'm going to move on to the mustard seed. I'll put a little bit of ink down just like before and spritz it and go ahead and add the color to my tag. Now with my tag dry, I'm going to take some tacky glue and I'm going to put dots of it randomly on my tag, just on one side. And then what I'm going to do is take my finger and just smear it across the tag, just like this. So it still has a little texture on it, but it's smeared. And you'll see what it does when it's complete. So it's wet there. I'm going to go ahead and blow dry it and get it nice and dry. With the glue completely dry, now I'm going to take my distressing tool, a blending tool, and take some of my spice marmalade and I'm going to apply it to the top of the tag. So I'm hoping you can tell that with the glue on there, it kind of acts like a barrier, and when you apply the top coat of the Distress ink, it kind of gives it like a different texture on there. So I kind of thought that was really cool. Now I want to go in, I'm gonna take my heat gun to this to make sure it's all dry. And then I'm going to go in with my stamps and add some stamps to this. So I have this flower stamp and my tuxedo black ink. And I'm just going to add some stamps on top. The last thing I want to do now is just cut off a piece of this ribbon, and then I'll go ahead and take my spice marmalade ink and ink the ribbon up, let it dry, and it'll tie right onto the tag and be just really super beautiful. So here's this tag. I think that turned out super pretty. I love it. I love the crinkly ribbon with the dyed ink on it, and just the effect that the glue gives to the distress ink. So moving on to the second tag. This one we're going to do a similar process with the smushing of the ink on the base. And I'm going to use Seedless Preserves, Salty Ocean, and Peacock Feathers. And I'm going to try putting all three inks down on the page and smushing them all at the same time. And then kind of drying in between layers. So I just put it down on my page protector, and I'm just going to spray it with my water. And I don't want to mix them. I don't want to do this and mix them together, because then it would kind of get muddy. But I'm just going to start laying it down on top. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? My tag is all dry, so now I want to take the stencil that I have here and place it where I have like part of the flower on, just a little tiny bit of it off the tag, and just position it wherever you think will look the best on the tag. I'm going to do it right there, and then take my texture paste and I can't remember what this is called, palette knife. And this looks a lot like just really thick Elmer's glue, but it spreads really nice across. So I'm just gonna hold my stencil down and then take and spread across the stencil. And then you pull it off, just like that. And you'll want to right away wash this. First I'm going to pour my embossing powder over the top of this. I'm going to do that over here. And while that dries a little bit on top, I'm going to go and take all my pieces that I have the texture paste on and wash them really well, because if you leave them on there, it will be impossible to get off. So after you've shaken off the extra embossing powder, you want to let this dry completely before you take your heat gun tool to it. You want the texture paste to be completely dry, so I'm just going to let this dry, and I will be back with my heat gun and we'll finish up the tag. Finish off this project, you just need to take your heat gun and heat seal your embossing and then tie the bow. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright guys, so here's all of my tags. I think they turned out really super pretty. They're ready to go right into a botanical junk journal. I just love them, and I love playing around with the distress inks. I hope you did too. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Leave me a comment and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality. Bye. God bless.